Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Beliefcast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester, your host of the Beliefcast. I know I say this every time, but it's true. Thank you so much for tuning in week after week. I love you guys. Today on the Beliefcast, I sit down with an extraordinary man whose story is one of heartbreak, resilience, recovery, and redemption, Derek Bryce. Derek, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Derek has lived through the loss of his younger brother in a tragic plane crash, the devastating death of his first wife from an accidental overdose, his own hidden battle with addiction while leading at the highest levels in tech, and chronic health challenges that would break many people. But Derek's story is not all about defeat. It's about second chances. It's about healing trauma, rebuilding identity, leaning into vulnerability, and discovering what truly matters most: faith, family, friendships, and purpose. This conversation is raw, honest, powerful, and deeply human. If you've ever faced loss, addiction, pain, or need to reinvent yourself, this episode is going to speak to your heart directly. Again, I want to also point out, I forgot to mention, thanks to my sponsors. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. But Derek, man, there's a lot here, and I just wanted to thank you for being willing to come share your story with us today.
Yeah, at this point, it feels good to talk through things and try and understand things that have happened.
Yeah. And, I just am excited. We met at an event. We were just talking about this a while back through a mutual friend of ours, Rob Morris, who we both love and respect.
Yeah.
I want to give him a little shout out. Please. Thanks for the connection, right, Rob?
Yeah.
And we were just talking about you, Rob, how much we love you. And if you're tuning in, which I'm sure you will because Derek's your buddy, we love you.
Yeah, I would echo that 100%.
Yeah, cool. Well, for those who don't know you, why don't we start off, tell us a little bit about where you grew up and maybe a little bit about your family dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Mesa, Arizona, and lived there for the first 7 years of my life. My dad was with Arthur Anderson. We moved around a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So first Caracas, Venezuela. This is back in the 80s when it's like the richest country in South America.
Wow.
Fast forward to my mission a few years later, it was very changed. But
yeah, right.
So I lived in Caracas for about 3 years and then moved to Madrid, Spain for 5 years. That was my ages 10 to 15 for me. Wow. Which was wild.
Seeing the world like that at such a young age had to have been pretty amazing, I would think.
It was. I mean, it was like drinking from a fire hose, but, it's like scout camps in Germany and ski trips in Switzerland, which for over there is very common. And so, but for me, it was just, it was an interesting upbringing in terms of having to reinvent yourself in wildly different, areas of the world at a young age.
Well, moving a lot, especially as a young child, is very challenging.
Yeah.
Like you said, you have to reinvent yourself. You have to find new friends. You got to try to maybe even put yourself out there. But as kids, I mean, I know how I was as a kid. I'd be like, I was afraid to do those kind of things.
Yeah. I mean, you got to step up pretty quick and figure out, you're always sort of trying to adapt a little bit. I think when you grow up like that,
Sure.
As a kid, you're more flexible, but
Yeah.
you're also going to hang on to things you don't realize later in life, good and bad. I mean, there's definitely great qualities that come from having to adapt like that from a young age, but also challenges and feeling like, where do I fit in? Am I an outsider everywhere I go, no matter how many friends I have?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you were hit quickly at a young age with something really tragic, and it was the loss of your brother in a plane crash.
Yes.
I think you were age 7. Is that
7.
right?
Mm-hmm.
7 years old. So do you mind, sharing that experience and story, what happened?
Sure. So we were getting ready to move to Venezuela, and my parents were going over to find us a house. I was in school, so I was staying with the neighbor, and so he was flying to stay with some relatives by himself. Because a lot of people ask, how is a 3-year-old kid on a plane by himself?
Yeah, right.
and it crashed, and all 10 people died. Our story was tragic, but this crash also left, I think like 25 kids without parents.
Oh,
It
man.
orphaned a bunch of kids,
Yeah.
and it was tragic. And when you're 7, I said goodbye to him when I left for school, and a few hours later I get home, and I'm never going to see him again. So you learn kind of that things can be taken from you very quickly.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be till decades later that I would start to fully understand the impact of that emotionally. But, I think of my parents. I lost a brother. They lost a little kid, I mean, and they stayed together, and they stayed faithful and strong. And I know they dealt with this pain quietly, which is too bad that they had to hide that from the world a little bit. Say, I'm broken, but I'm going to portray that I'm not.
Yeah.
So watching them was something that the strength that had to take, and the pain that would have caused is something I hope to never understand.
Same. Yeah.
Right?
And you make a good point where you said they stayed together, because I think a lot of times when tragedy strikes, it can actually split a family apart.
I mean, it's like a 95% divorce rate when the couple loses a small child.
Yeah. So for them to stick it out and stay together. And so, I mean, you're 7 years old. I mean, you don't even know how to handle that emotionally.
Yeah.
What was going, I mean, if you can think back then, like what was going on through your mind at the time?
Think about it. I mean, Todd died, and 2 months later, we're picking up everything we knew in our lives and moving to Venezuela, right?
So now you're also moving
Yes.
at the same time. Oh, man.
Moving at the same time, which probably had its benefits a little bit to kind of switch things up to a degree that I didn't have a lot of time to mourn. And I probably didn't have, the coping mechanisms to do it then anyway. So that would be tabled till much later in life. But people lose things all the time, and loss, I think, and trauma is relative. At least I had something to look back and pinpoint and say, that's where life diverted a little bit, and my relationships and my relationship with life and how I understand things that you have and lose in life was, I can pinpoint it, and a lot of people can't. They have similar traumas that they just don't know that impacted them so severely.
Yeah. Did you guys do any kind of therapy at that time, or as a family, or anything like that? Or?
I mean, my parents have to this day never gone to therapy for that. I think that's more of a generational thing.
Oh, for sure. Right. Yeah.
But for me, it became something that I would not really bring up with therapy until much later in life. And last year I had a really incredible experience kind of in figuring out how to best deal with that trauma and loss.
Do you mind, since we're on this, do you mind sharing that experience?
Sure.
Would
No,
that be
I don't
okay?
mind at all. I'd love to. It was very deep therapy. And I had this moment where I had my eyes closed. I felt a presence, and I didn't know what that presence was. And slowly in my head, I started to visualize a figure, and there was no face. So it was just a figure. And I realized, it was my brother, and he was saying, you've been through a lot, and I'm really sorry that I haven't, that I haven't been there to go through some of this with you. But I am here. I've always been here. And what you need to do is figure out how to make me a big part of your life again. 40 years, I'd only told the story of Todd when talking about his plane crash. And I think I realized what a lost opportunity to have this important figure in my life that I've been trying to make up for since I was 7 in different ways. And I talk to him now. Like, I openly talk to him out loud, like he's a brother who lives overseas that I don't get to see very often. But it was such a learning experience for me as my parents are declining, and figuring out how does life go on when your parental figures are gone that you've relied on your whole life. Mm-hmm. It's important to understand those relationships don't have to stop. And it's actually a disservice to those that have passed on to box them up into a place that you don't think about or talk about, and don't allow them to be an important part of your progress in your life and your learnings. It was really powerful. And And I made a decision to change that. I started putting pictures of him up again.
Really?
You know? Yeah, I did an
That's
AI
amazing.
generation to see what he might look like at,
Oh, wow.
at his
I didn't
age
think you
today.
could
So
do
I
that.
could
That's
picture something.
no
Because you
way.
can't. All I picture is a
Yeah.
3-year-old kid, and that's a tragic story that is going to make anyone fall apart. But if you start to think of them as an active person in your life that has a vested interest in your success, it can be transformative. It has been for me.
I can tell you light up when you talk about this experience, and to be able to now like say, I'm gonna bring him out. I'm gonna bring him to life, if you will, in my world now.
Yes.
Wow, that is amazing.
Give him updates.
Yeah.
And I don't care that I don't hear anything back.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Oh man, that's so cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
So this obviously happens as a young age. You're moving around the world.
Yeah.
Just maybe kind of jump ahead. You go to high school and things like that. What was that like?
It was Miami, Florida, and I'm moving from Madrid, Spain, where I'm in this like American school in Madrid with armed guards at every corner. Now I'm in Miami with metal detectors in high school.
Right.
It was in 10th grade. Moving back to the States at Miami, especially in 10th grade. It was very challenging, but made some of the closest friends that I still have in my life during that time. Yeah. And I wouldn't change any part of that. I loved it. It was really hard, but it made it really special once I kind of figured it out a little bit. But culture shocks left and right. Because then I graduate Miami and come out to BYU. All my friends went to UF, and my parents were like, I think there's a different path for you. So I came out to BYU because of John Tate. Yeah, he and I have been friends forever, and that's when I met Rob, because they were they were roommates in the dorm.
Roommates, yeah. So again, you create these friendships, lifelong friendships with these guys, and you talked about that in the information that you've sent over to me. And I know one of the things that you're really big on is connection with friends. Yeah. And the connection in a way where we talk about hard things and deeper things. And was that cultivated back then, even when you were rooming with these guys and hanging out with these guys?
I mean, I think we were just enjoying college and that time together and stuff. And we really weren't, we weren't in our reflective eras yet, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And so, I lived, that's funny. So we went on our missions and we moved into a place together for our last 3 years of college. And then John gets drafted, first round draft pick. Yeah. Like 99, I think, or 98, 99. And Rob was 1 year later. And now I've got 2 roommates that end up playing each other in the Super Bowl in Miami.
How cool is
like
that? There it is.
I went.
You did go?
Yes, I was there.
Oh, you better be.
Torrential rain.
Yes,
Prince
I remember
played,
that.
Remember?
Yes, I do remember that now.
Yeah, it was a crazy. Devin Hester runs back the opening kickoff.
Yes.
But you asked back then, I think we were just kind of experiencing college and having fun together. Yeah. Then I go into a tech career. They play in the NFL, and we kept in touch, but not really that often until about a year ago. Rob kept on me. He kept reaching out, and I was finally had some space in my life to be able to be friends again. And that evolved into relationships where we're taking care of each other, right? We ask each other how we're doing, and is there something you want to talk about? Maybe we can work it out together, or maybe just listening and having you talk will help you process it a little bit. But I think men especially really fail at this. I think women do get this better, where they do maintain these important friendships longer in life, and men kind of let them fall by the wayside a little bit. Or maybe they're just going on golf trips and never talking about anything important. It's a learned skill. It's not something you can really force. Yeah. You kind of lean into it and say, I know that at this point in my life, I think taking care of people is the most important thing humans can ever do. And how can I take care of relationships that mean something to me? Listen, learn, seek to understand what they've gone through. I mean, Rob had gone through he was a guest on your show. He's been through some really rough stuff, and I didn't know any of that. I didn't know what had been going on, and I assumed everything was great. He's a Super Bowl champion. He reached the peak of whatever dreams he had as a child.
For sure.
But the trauma that he was, that was building over that time was also really there. And I think the higher achiever that you are, the further you can fall.
Yeah.
And the harder it is
true.
to adapt to not being at the, on the podium.
Yeah.
And so it's been wonderful, though. It's been one of the most meaningful relationships of my life with John and Rob, and just trying to
That's awesome.
say we're going to be a bigger part of each other's lives and success going forward.
Yeah. And I think you speak to the need. There's a huge need, especially for men, to connect on this type of level.
Yeah.
There's fortunately now there's more men groups popping up where they do come and just talk about their feelings. Right. And, so I think you're hitting on something that is, one, I'm glad you guys are doing this now.
Yeah.
Two, it's so needed in today's world.
Yeah, it is. And every time we say hi and goodbye, it's, I love you, man. And if there's any fear of losing masculinity, like these are two Super Bowl champions, right? Like peak of their career. It's just, there's no need for that type of ego. And it's a total misalignment with what we need is human beings, is that connection.
Yeah.
And that's the advice I would give anyone is lean into the connections that you have, the people that matter to you, become a more important part of their life.
Wow. Well said.
Yeah.
Well said, Derek. I love that. So, moving along, you get married, and, we mentioned in the intro that your first wife died of an overdose.
Yeah.
That's not just something easy to talk about, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you don't mind sharing what you feel comfortable with around that story with your first wife.
Of course. So I met my first wife, and we got married in 2005 and had 4 beautiful children. And during that time, there was a shift from both of our sides into we had pain for whatever reason. Hers was foot pain. She was a professional dancer. Mine was back pain. Got prescribed drugs. And this is back in the, Purdue Pharma era, right?
Yes.
Where they were just pumping these opiates into the system. And we've seen how devastating that has been.
Devastating, yes.
And I got to experience it in watching my spouse dive deeper into it, as well as watching myself dive deeper into it.
So can I mention?
I'm an open book.
Yeah, no, yeah. So obviously you're seeing her struggle, but you were struggling too. But if I understand correctly, you were keeping it more silent. It was almost like people didn't know the severity with you. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was an executive at a tech firm, right? I'm running a team of 100+ people. And so I had to conceal it better. I had to hide it better and pick my moments better, where she was stay-home mom at this point and had, really could disappear quickly.
Yeah.
Isolation is probably the best friend of any addict, right? While they're going through it, is just, I'm safe when I'm alone and don't have to worry about what other people might see or think.
Yeah.
And so I did watch it, and she was a wonderful person who kind of succumbed to this a little bit, and I watched it. I didn't know the end was coming. Friends have shared that they saw it, right? They were waiting for this call. I didn't see that as closely. So when it happened, it was February 5th, 2017. So this is Super Bowl Sunday when Tom Brady came back, a 28-point deficit against the Falcons, right? And it's that morning, and that's the call I get. And I was at a gas station, and my 4 kids were sitting in the car watching me pump the gas when I got the call from her mom that she had passed. And,
wow.
And you're just looking at, not thinking about me. I'm thinking how, I went through this. I lost early. And my kids were ages 3, 6, 7, and 10.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm just picturing this.
Yeah.
Perpetuating a little bit, and what damage is this going to cause? Toughest day of my life is telling my children that. But I made the decision really quickly that there was no place for blame or being upset. It was a sad situation. I was very sad for her and sad for her family and sad for her kids and all the memories that wouldn't happen,
Yeah.
the interesting thing was most people would say, okay, well, if you have your own addiction at that time, you're going to look at this and say, oh, wow, look at the consequences here. I'm going to get on the right path. It was a nosedive for me. It was a nosedive, heavier and heavier.
Well, I can only imagine the
addiction.
emotional, mental pain you were going through on such a level that
Yeah.
it's no wonder you did a nosedive. It's,
right.
you know?
Yeah. I see people now years later and they're like, wow, I can't believe that happened to you. I don't think I could have gotten through that. And, you know, congrats that you did. And I'm like, well, it's an ongoing process,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I'm still
It's not
working
something
on
you
it.
just get through and
Yeah.
close the door.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was incredibly traumatic and it just puts your life into, I mean, you don't know up and down,
Right.
You're just surviving. Wow. And my parents were there to help. I had help with the children, and they could see that I was struggling, not just struggling to cope, but struggling with the addiction. And there was nothing that they could have done or said that would have made any difference at that time.
Which is really, that's the
Right?
scary part.
It's
Think
the
about what
scary
you just
part.
said.
Yeah.
Because people think I can say this to him, I'll do this for him, but you knew, like, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm in this dark hole and I'm not coming out.
And it's not even the addiction to the substance at that point. It's that your whole reward system mentally has changed.
Yeah.
You've got anxiety, you've got pain. It's not about what the substance does in the moment. It's what it takes away. It takes away
for sure
fear, and it brings in calm with devastating effects. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I put opiate addiction up there with probably alcoholism as like the premier spots of things to try and get past, not to diminish, you know, any other types of addiction to substances, but opiate addiction is in a league of its own in terms of, because then you've got the withdrawals part of it, right? It's not just pleasure.
Which keeps people in
You're
it because they don't want
pain.
to. Yeah, they don't want to go through that.
Yeah. And your relationship with the drug becomes the most important thing in your life because it brings you, you know, relief momentarily, even though it's destroying your life on the outskirts.
And I would imagine, Derek, was it like when every time you would go see you're around your kids again, you come home from work and there they are, I'm sure it's just this reminder, how do I smile? How do I make them smile? How do we do something fun?
Right. How do I, when I'm struggling with pain and this so much, right? I went through years of either being high or in withdrawals, and it's a nasty, nasty place to live. But it does become your norm, and you adjust to it. You say, okay, this is life now. But you're right. You don't look forward to the future anymore. Yeah. Everything is the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Yep. Yet here you are. You're still the tech guy.
Yeah.
Trying to keep that going. Trying to be now a single dad. Trying to navigate all those emotions, not just for yourself, but for your own children as well. And I know we're jumping way ahead here, and if there's more you want to share, please do. But you meet Brooke.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love this. I'm excited for this because you said Brooke saved your life, saved our lives. And I want to know why and how, and then, maybe start off with how did you come to meeting Brooke when you're in such a horrible state yourself?
I mean, yes, it is. If there's proof in a God, this is probably it, right?
Okay,
she came in, I met her on Instagram. She hates that part of the story, but we met on Instagram and we instantly kind of connected, and within a week I was introducing her to the kids. I just felt that
in 1 week
comfortable in 1 week. And the first time she came to the house, it was my oldest birthday, and I think there was a little bit of jealousy of like, well, why is she here on my birthday? Yeah. And the next time they saw Brooke, they were falling asleep, in her arms, right?
Like
she was
safe
mom,
and comfortable,
in every way and by name within a month.
That is a miracle, Derek.
Yeah,
I mean, come on,
4 kids that are just. They were shells of themselves too. It's hard to even think back and recognize them in that point. And so she was the first time where I realized, okay, I do want a future. Like, I don't want to die, and I don't want to traumatize my children any further, and I don't want to be sick anymore. And so within 6 months of meeting her, I checked into rehab, and she was home with my kids. I only had 2 weeks to go. I just started a new big job, but I went in for 2 weeks and came out. And if you think about recovery, it's like that was maybe the worst part of the withdrawal part, but the recovery, even physically and mentally, would take 2 more years, and then emotionally would take years after that to rewire the brain a little bit. But
and it was her that said, you better go.
It was 100% her. I remember a night a week before, and I was questioning it and like, do I really, I think I can handle this on my own. And she's like, well, I'm not, I can't stay if you're not going to help yourself here. This is not a winnable fight if you're not engaged. And I knew there was just something that told me, as sick as I was, and there were a couple times where I went to sleep thinking I might not wake up. That was how slow my breathing had gotten, and how I just felt it. I was dying. Yeah. And I thought, this is my only chance. This might be the only chance that comes along, excuse me, where I can participate in my kids' lives and have a future that isn't so bleak. And I took it. And I, thank God every day that I leaned into that and said, I'm gonna live, and I'm gonna try and be happy and put myself together a little bit. But it was 100% her. Wow. She has an ability to love and care that I had just hadn't seen before. Yeah. And talk about, and why did she stay, right?
Yeah.
She's taking on 4 kids whose mother died a year and a half earlier, and a guy who's severely addicted to lots of medications, and she's sending him to rehab in her first few months. That's not usually the template for a successful
usually
marriage.
Not. Yeah, usually not.
But she hung in there, and
Wow.
I try and pay her back as much as I can with, like, you didn't make a bad decision here. Like, we did this. Look at this. We talk about it all the time. Last night we were talking about just like, look what we have accomplished with these kids. Like, these kids had no shot at the point in their lives where you met them. It would have been really rough going if I was the only one in charge.
Yeah. Right. Well, and I mean, I don't try to say this lightly or even to be funny, but I mean, she was like an angel sent from God.
100%.
I mean, really, because
in every way,
because you were in no place to, like you said, you were a shell of yourself as well. So were the kids. How can you even cultivate that in a healthy way? It was impossible. Yeah. And then all of a sudden Brooke shows up, and to feel that comfortable that quickly tells you something. Yeah. That wasn't an accident. That happened like that. Right. Like that was meant to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. If you're questioning God or not, man, this kind of proves that there's got to be one, because why?
Yeah.
Like why? Me? And why you, Derek?
Yeah. Why do I deserve that kind of ending with the decisions I had been making up until then?
Yeah. But here's the truth, Derek, and we're both getting emotional right now. You do deserve this, because I'm a huge believer that addiction is the wake-up call to your greatness. And what I'm hearing is Brooke, because of her influence, helped you realize that. Yeah. As hard as that, I mean, I sound so backwards, like addiction's the wake-up call to my greatness, because you, like you said, you were hurting so bad, it was as if God was slapping you in the face going, this isn't the path. Yeah. This isn't the path. And I do think we need people like Brooks in our life to show us, like, oh, there's a different way. Yeah. Get to treatment.
Yeah. And she gave me that space, if you will, that emotional space to take care of something that I probably never would have done for myself. Yeah. And thank goodness that she did, because my views on life have totally changed. My priorities have changed. I really felt like my goal was to get as high up in tech firms as I could and make as much money as I could, and the family would work itself out. And then I realized after that it was the opposite.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks for sharing this part. I mean, all of it's been fantastic, but this is a very vulnerable thing to talk about. And I appreciate that so much. You know, you went to treatment, not for very long, but what was one of the biggest lessons you learned when you went there?
You know, okay, it's kind of funny because I went into this place and I
want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors of the Beliefcast podcast. First, Craig from Craig Swap and Associates. If you need an attorney, he's your guy. Trustworthy, compassionate, always there when you need him most. Next, Wasatch Recovery, the greatest university on the planet, transforming lives one day at a time. Sandy from Minky Couture, the creative genius behind the most comfortable blanket you'll ever wrap yourself in. Comfort like no other. Special thanks to the award-winning pianist Paul Cardall for his beautiful music that brings inspiration to every episode.
Thought I'd be in a hospital bed and have like nurses running by and like, hey, Derek, are you hungry? Can we get you a sandwich? And I got there, and I remember I got there on a Thursday night, and I did not wake up until Saturday night. That's how long I had not slept, rested, had any type of I had been running so fast, so hard. I slept for 3 days, 72 hours. I didn't leave my bed. They kept coming to check on me. And when I came out, I was like, okay, I'm ready for some food. They're like, yep, cupboards, and you got to do the dishes real quick. And I was, and
like,
it took me a second, but I loved that part of it.
Yeah.
It was a community instantly. And the sad part was, the people I was in there with were all such great people. And I had such a great experience getting to know them. But these people, every single person, probably 50 other people passing through while I was there, had been there 10 times before, had been to every treatment facility and sober living in the state and surrounding states, every single one of them.
Yeah.
That had been their life for whenever they first started. And I only had 2 weeks. I would have stayed longer. I'm not pitching like stay a short time.
Right.
I had just started a job. I had 2 weeks to go. And I would have loved to stay longer, but it was transformative, and hearing their stories and just these tragic things and feeling like, oh, life's happened to me. It's been so rough. I really saw some true despair and pain and loss. Yeah. And it became a community that we all took turns, doing the laundry and doing the dishes. And I loved that part of it. It was such a break from everything I had experienced for decades.
Yeah.
And I just was able to focus on me. And I knew that I had one shot, and I knew that there was a risk only staying 2 weeks, that I would just fall right back into it. But I was determined at that point that was never going to be my life again.
Yeah. Well, and again, we're not promoting go to treatment for only 2 weeks. But what I love about what you're saying here, and I think, because these are my clientele, this is who I work with every single day. The power of an inner decision. Like you said it, like I was determined, and maybe knowing you had one shot to figure this out gave you the motivation and the drive to actually hold on to that decision, which I get, totally understand that. But man, I think we take for granted that gift of choice.
Yeah.
You made a decision. I'm going to figure this out, and here we go. And because you mentioned after you had left treatment, the work was still going. There was still a lot of work to do. Talk about that a little bit, Derek. Like, what was the work like? How did you and Brooke navigate those waters?
So I got out of treatment in the afternoon, and the next day we were starting this kind of big sales conference that I was leading in hosting in a lot of ways. And so it was just thrown right back into the fire.
Right.
And I mean, I would weep every morning before leaving the house to go. I would cry, and I would say, Brooke, I'm so sick. I can hardly even keep my eyes up. Like, I'm so sick. How do I go do this? And it was just one foot in front of the other. Like, motion creates emotion. You've got to do it. And it's very difficult to pull off when you're feeling that sick. I usually say it's like recite the national anthem, and then I'm going to hit your hand with a hammer, and then I want you to recite the national anthem. And that's a totally different experience, right?
That's a good way to put it.
And you're like, okay, wow, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be. And it's hard to concentrate. And that's kind of how I felt. And so it's just one foot in front of the other. And there's a lot of things about that time in my life that I would change, and a lot of things that I regretted, decisions and conversations and lots of things. It took a year or so to find my footing in that again. So I had left the company I was with and went back to Adobe, where I spent the majority of my career. And then at least I had some home feeling again. I had some people that I knew and helped take care of me a little bit. But I think it's a huge problem, really. Like, there's not good systems in place for employers, like especially big corporations, to identify problems as they're happening.
Right.
It's usually like someone's got to come and say, "Hey, I'm an alcoholic. I need to take a couple weeks off." And then instantly that judgment and those right, they start to feel like, oh, he's broken. He's weakened.
Yeah.
And
do we keep him now?
Do we keep him?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're going to have to send him to rehab, but when he gets back, how do we manage him out of the business? It happens, right?
Sure.
It's a reality of life. And if you look at the percentage of people who actually do get well, I understand why that's the stigma, totally.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I also think that not just tech, but companies, especially high stress industries, really need to be watching for those warning signs and asking those questions. And I don't know where HIPAA law and stuff may get in the way of some of that, but just I did it when I went back to Adobe. That was my leadership styles. If you told me you were struggling, I wanted to help understand it, see if there was a way I could help, but see if there's a way you could help yourself.
Right.
And when you've been at death's door and experienced the stuff I've experienced, you do have a little bit more of an understanding of, what you can't avoid triggers. You can't. You can remove bad influences from your life, but the triggers will always be there. So you have to change your relationship with the triggers, not just with the drugs, not just quitting drugs. That's the very first step.
Yeah.
After that, it's totally saying, why does this scare me, and how can I change the way I feel about that? Because the fear of that is what's driving me to make the next bad decision and the next bad decision, or isolate.
Yeah. I had a mentor teach me this years ago about trigger, to, like, when you feel one or you're experiencing one, to say it instantly out loud, opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's the opportunity for me to use the greatest gift at which I've ever been given, which is choice.
Yep.
And I choose to stay clean. I choose to stay strong. I choose to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
I choose to share this with Brooke, whatever that is. And I thought, and I put that to the test. It is amazing, by just reframing that trigger to opportunity.
Yeah.
It has been like, wow. And I've taught this to thousands of clients, and they'll come back and say, that was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
But again, the work you're putting in.
Yeah.
Right, Derek?
And I went to lunch earlier this week with someone, and a quote I remember was, victims don't get better. And I've thought so much about that since that meeting, and understanding, okay, I need to evaluate how, I am processing information, right? I need to look at things that I feel like aren't going well in my life. Let me speak them out loud and hear what comes out. Because if it's this guy, I didn't get the job that I deserved, or that person offended me the other day and I can't believe what they said. If that's the way you're thinking, it's victim mentality.
Yeah.
You're not looking inward.
Sure.
You're never going to change.
Yeah.
All you're going to do is be upset at these people next time you see them, and that doesn't help anything.
Yeah.
Victims don't get better. So if you're taking a victim approach to anything you're trying to solve, you've lost before you started.
Yeah.
So you've got to change that to be, I'm not a victim. This is an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that.
That's cool. Yeah. Victims don't get better, man. That hits hard.
Yeah.
Because there's been times in my life when I was in my addiction. I mean, I was the victim.
Yeah.
It was everyone's fault.
Right.
And boy, it kept me stuck.
It helps
for a
you
long
justify
time.
Taking
Absolutely,
more and more,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good So thank you for sharing that. That was really powerful.
Yeah.
Coming full circle, if we will, you talk about, like, now you have you're cultivating these relationships again, like with Rob and some other friends, where we're not just, saying, hey, how you doing? I'm doing all right. you're actually having some conversations and deep conversations. How has that also been a strength in your recovery and moving forward?
I think it's always important to talk through your feelings and figure out, am I looking at this right? I don't always assume that I'm right in the way I think. I go into something saying, I might be wrong. There's a chance I'm wrong here. So I'm going to say this out loud and see what feedback I'm getting back. And the problem, going back to the issue with men especially, but people in general as they get older, is they don't get that kind of feedback. Think about how often does someone come in here and tell you you might get more because you meet a lot of people and they say what a great job you did. But in my business, no one was coming and saying, hey, Derek, we really loved when you did this. And wow, that really worked. How smart you must be. Nothing, right? Negative feedback, lots.
Yeah.
Positive feedback, not so much. So
Yeah.
we don't always know how we're doing in different aspects of our life until we get those close friendship relationships, people that will be honest with us and tell us when we're off, but they're not going to abandon us if we're wrong or if we have a bad day. I love the 4 agreements, right? If you've read,
we
right?
read it here all the time as
Totally.
as a treatment
My
center.
favorite is the 4th. Always just do your best. One day it might be a 4, the next day might be a 10.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up, but try and do a little better the next day.
Yeah.
And try and take care of people, not just your family and your friends, but every interaction throughout the day. If you're at a restaurant and you've got a server that's struggling, don't think about how they're negatively impacting your eating experience. Think about, I'm not going to add to their stress today. I'm going to give them some space and some grace.
Yeah.
To process what they're going through, and maybe they'll realize better, oh, I was kind of rude, or I wasn't focused, more so than if you give them, the feedback and then all they are is pissed at the customer.
Exactly. Well, I used to years ago be a bartender and, a waiter back in the day. And so I've always been a big tipper. My wife's always like, why you tip so much? Yeah. I've always been that guy because I know what they go through, but I'll triple the tip when I see someone struggling.
Really? Interesting.
As a way to, I can't tell how many times, Derek, I've had that person come back in tears going, hey, I think you screwed up on I'm like, no, I didn't. And they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, and I could, it's one of those things, hey, I saw that you were struggling. I don't know what you're going through, but hope you're okay.
Wow. That's actually really powerful. I mean, that's a great way to think about it too, because they're going to process that information better and come out doing better the next day, way more with your approach than most people's.
Well,
approach.
versus, I give them zero money and I put, you were horrible today.
Right.
What, what's your problem?
Then you just added something else for them to be upset about the next day.
They may have just lost their wife.
Totally.
They may have just lost one of their kids.
Yeah.
We don't know.
You never know.
And I think that's why, kind of again, 4 agreements, don't make assumptions, right?
Don't make assumptions.
And, if we can really kind of go, like you said, take a step back and go, hey, how can I help them even though they're struggling and maybe they are kind of trying to affect my eating experience, but I'm going to make it good even though this is happening.
And it's a gift to yourself as well, because then you're not 100%. Falling asleep that night thinking, wow, I wish I hadn't said that, right? We don't want regrets at this point in our life. We want to, feel free of that. So free yourself from that by saying, I'm not going to do or say anything that I might regret later. You won't always be great at it, but man, that's a better way to live.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, this is awesome, Derek. I wanted to ask you this question. If someone's tuning in to this episode right now, listening to your story, listening to you talk, and they're in a dark place and they really are stuck and maybe not wanting to be here anymore, what would you tell that person right now?
Yeah, I would tell them that first, I would tell them that feeling is momentary. They may not feel that it's momentary because maybe they felt that way for a while, but it could change overnight, right? And you do have to decide to if it's addiction, you do have to make the decision to stop those things, right? First, and understand that it is going to be a hard recovery, but man, the strength that you feel after accomplishing that. When we know just how rare it is to beat addiction, just how rare it is, and you accomplish that, you feel like you've gained an advantage in life that is so rare and hard to get, that becomes a big part of you and what drives you.
Yeah.
But you've got to lean into the relationships that you have and stop isolating and start talking to people. And the joys that you can get from life, those start back pretty quick. You know, you'd think it's going to be this long process, but you do start to feel joy, right? Your reward system starts to change, and you start to value the things that you do have. So my advice would be, start talking to people. Don't hide these scary pieces, because chances are they've noticed, right? Worst drug addicts think that they're pulling it off. Right? They're like, no one's seeing this.
That's the biggest lie we tell ourselves.
And everyone's saying, wow, like, is Derek okay? And the sooner that, because vulnerability, I've found, I've been in very high level negotiation things in tech, right? 7, 8, 9-figure negotiations. And people always think that the best negotiators are the ones with the best tactics, and they're not. They're the ones who are the most vulnerable, and that becomes the bridge to actually negotiating a deal. It's very interesting, because these high-level execs and things, and you think, well, they must be smarter than me. They're all human too. They all actually care if someone's listening to them, right? So I go into it saying, I'm gonna listen better. But I think, you know, coming back to your original question, it really is just deciding, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm really going to try to change my perspective of life and change just how sick and awful I feel all the time. And that maybe I'm not going to kill myself, but I'm hoping death isn't too far away. That's how I felt a little bit, right? It's like I didn't want to die, but I had made my peace with it to an extent.
You knew it was close.
I knew that it was close. And then you realize, wow, who wants to live like that, right? Like that's just not a way to live. And everyone has something in their life that they care more about than themselves. And you've really got to put the energy into that. So I would say, get up, take a shower, take a walk around the block, and call up a friend and tell them you're struggling, because that will, that will create a bond that will carry you through the hard times. Because it takes years to recover. The longer you sit in it and put it off, the harder it will be to pull out of that. And what a tragedy if, you know, my ex-wife, she was 35, right? She's 35 with 4 young kids,
35,
living in a nice house, and living in, like, you wouldn't have ever expected that those would be the circumstances.
Right.
But nowadays it's everything, and it's ongoing, right? When we were growing up, there was like 5 things not to do, right? It was alcohol, tobacco, and heroin. Now look at
hundreds
the things that are coming out and are being pitched, the new things being pitched as safe, that have, you know, traumatic, you just have to be vigilant. You have to be watch your own patterns and say, I make bad decisions when I feel this way. I make good decisions when I feel that way. I'm going to try and see this stuff coming a little sooner and turn out of it.
Love it. Well said.
It's a long answer.
No, that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. It's well said. I think we needed to hear that today. I needed to hear that today. So thank you so much. You know, so if people wanted to reach out to you, Derek, and learn more about you, and maybe even ask you a question, or a question even about this episode, or learn more about you and your family, what would be the best way for them to do that?
So I have been doing some consulting things on the side. I'm actually writing a book. I'm kind of in the process of it. Not necessarily for anyone else yet. It's for me. We'll see where that goes. But I think where I've really been wanting to lean in is back to the addiction recovery community. So I would say you will probably see more of me on that
Nice.
side of it.
Nice.
And yeah, more to come. But I will follow up and give you more information on how to reach me and things for
Okay.
sure. I'm on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's public. My daughters want me to make it private because their boyfriends are seeing pictures of them when they were little kids, and
They're like, Dad, knock it off.
I've gotten some
Dad, knock that off.
texts in all caps.
What's your Instagram, just so our listeners know,
Okay.
if you don't mind me sharing?
Yeah, no. So Derek Bryce, and I'm not sure that I remember the whole thing. So can we put it in the notes?
Yes, we'll have it in the show notes, folks.
Yes.
Hey, show
Sorry about
notes.
that.
Hey, and you know what I kind of love? He's not really into social media, which is a
Yeah.
good thing, I think. But I'll put it in the show notes. They can click
Yeah,
right to
please.
you. And then, maybe when the book's ready or whatever, and you decide you are going to share it
Yeah.
with the world, we can have you back on the show.
I would
and
love to.
We could help promote
and
that.
I think for sure that will probably
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you. I'm edified today. Thank you. You lifted my soul today. I mean that. And shout out to Brooke.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Hope
Brooke.
you meet her someday.
I hope to meet
next
her.
time.
And we need people like that in our lives
Yeah.
to show us the way sometimes. And shout out to our good friend Rob.
Yep.
We love him. And
Yeah.
I don't know, just grateful that we have these connections
Yeah.
now with each other. And so glad to know you
Thank
now, Derek.
Same. This was very, very therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning
Great.
in. Well, guys, there you go. Again, thanks to my sponsors. Thanks to you guys. Share this episode with your loved ones, your family. You have someone who's struggling with addiction or anything, or a loss of a spouse or a friend or what it may be. Send them a link to this episode, and this will inspire them. And I know you guys will do that because the feedback I get is overwhelmingly positive and saving lives, man. It's so crazy. So I love you guys. And Derek, you're the best. Thanks for being here. Take care.
Thank you.